From LN24 International, live in Cape Town, South Africa. This is the LN24 International Newsroom.
Good evening, you're watching the LN24 Newsroom. My name is Marika Schroeder, reporting to you live from Cape Town, South Africa, with your latest Africa updates. South Africa formally assumed the chairship of the Southern African Development Community Council of Ministers.
Honorable Ronald Lamola, we trust my brother. We entrust you with this vision, our vision.
South African President Cyril Ramaphosa launches electronic travel authorization system,
which is set to revolutionize mobility and migration management in South Africa. Today's launch of the ETA represents a quantum leap forward for our country's immigration system.
Malawi commissions 10-megawatt solar plant to ease hydropower dependence.
We've all been looking forward to the commissioning of this project. We have commissioned a 10-megawatt plant. This is just the beginning of this project because the total capacity of the project is 50 megawatt.
3 people killed as Tanzania-flagged cargo ship is hit in the Red Sea.
From LN24 International, live in Cape Town, South Africa. This is the LN24 International Newsroom.
South Africa has assumed the chairmanship of the SADC Council of Ministers for the 2026-27 term. International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola accepted the role earlier today from Zimbabwe's Minister of Foreign Affairs Amon Murwira at the opening ceremony held in Durban, where ministers from 15 of the 16 member states were in attendance. Minister Lamola listed peace and security as the first of South Africa's 4 strategic priorities for its chairmanship, along with infrastructure modernization, human capital development, and industrialization through critical minerals beneficiation, higher intra-regional trade, and agricultural transformation.
Honorable Ronald Lamola, we trust my brother. We entrust you with this vision, our vision of a common future, of a confident people, of a people that walk together in dark, in light, in water, on land, taking the regional flame so that we as a people shall prosper. Siyabonga, Hialiwoga, Twalumba, Zikum Kwambim, Asante Sana, Merci beaucoup, Muito obrigado, Ike Silongofu.
It is with great humility and profound sense of responsibility that on behalf of the Republic of South Africa, I accept the SADC chairship for 2026-2027. We are honored by the confidence placed in South Africa by our fellow member states. We accept this mandate fully conscious that a chairperson does not belong to South Africa alone. This is a collective responsibility that we must discharge in the interest of our community, guided by the principle of solidarity, unity, sovereign equality, and a shared prosperity. Allow me at the outset to extend our gratitude to the Republic of Zimbabwe for the important work undertaken during its tenure, to the incoming chair, the Republic of Zambia, and the Troika for safeguarding continuity during this transition. Colleagues, Excellencies, we take heart as we assume this role in this city of Durban, a city that occupies pride of place in our people's quest for freedom. The Inkosi Albert Luthuli International Convention Center bears the name of a leader whose own life embodied the interconnected character of Southern Africa long before regional integration became part of our vocabulary.
During his introductory remarks at the opening session, Executive Secretary of the SADC, Elias Magosi, reported regional advances. According to his report, energy capacity rose by 3,253 megawatts, while electricity access increased from 56% to 60% over the 2025-26 financial year. Magosi noted that foreign direct investment rose 44% to $11 billion, while intra-regional trade reached about 20%. Agricultural growth recovered 2 to 3%, and food insecure people fell by 16%, with the Executive Secretary concluding that the region continues to make meaningful progress.
This understanding informed the retreat of the SADC Ministers of Foreign Affairs held in Skukuza here in South Africa this past May, where member states reaffirmed their commitment to deeper regional integration, collective resilience, and sustainable development, providing a strong foundation for navigating global uncertainty. Despite a complex global environment, the region continues to make meaningful progress. I wish to highlight, Honourable Ministers, a few areas where progress is indeed encouraging. In the energy sector, the SADC region added 3,253 megawatts of new installed generation capacity across 12 mainland states, together with a further 1.6 thousand megawatts from island states during the 2025-26 financial year. As a result, our total regional installed capacity now stands at 88,200 megawatts, while operational capacity has reached 54,800 megawatts, exceeding the combined regional peak demand and reserve peak demand, peak demand, exceeding the regional peak demand and reserve requirements of 52,600 megawatts. These gains provide an important foundation for overcoming long-standing energy constraints. However, our success cannot be measured solely by megawatts generated. It must also be measured by the number of households, the number of schools, the number of health facilities and businesses that gain access to reliable electricity. Encouragingly, regional electricity access increased from 56% in 2024 to 60% in 2025, which is still below our target of 85% electricity across the region by 2030. To close this gap, we must continue accelerating grid expansion, strengthening cross-border interconnections, and scaling up off-grid and renewable energy solutions that will leave no community behind.
Today, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa launched the country's electronic travel authorization system at Johannesburg's OR Tambo International Airport. The system lets eligible travelers apply online from anywhere without visiting an embassy or visa center. It is designed for faster decisions and pre-arrival biometric and risk checks. Ramaphosa framed it as part of broader economic reforms aimed at easing investment and tourism while strengthening border controls. The system was first tested with visitors from China, India, and Indonesia during South Africa's G20 hosting. Authorities now plan to roll the ETA out to more countries and later extend digital processing to work and study visas.
Which is set to revolutionize mobility and migration management in South Africa. Today's launch of the ETA represents a quantum leap forward for our country's immigration system, both by unlocking economic growth through tourism, investment, and legitimate travel, and by landing a decisive blow against visa fraud and illegal immigration. Mr. President, allow me to briefly introduce some of the ETA's key features on both the economic and security fronts. The process begins by a traveller registering a profile on the website eta.dha.gov.za, which includes one-time PIN verification of their cell phone number and email address. The traveller then scans their passport and uploads a selfie. Through biometric technology, our platform compares their passport photo to their facial photograph, confirming that they are the same person. The algorithm also automatically scans their passport, checking over 40 different parameters to verify that it is an authentic document. Once payment has been made, the ETA uses automated risk analysis to identify indicators of fraud or risk at a speed and scale that no human being could ever achieve. If the application is approved, the traveller will receive their ETA within 24 hours, which they can then store directly in the digital wallet on their smartphone. I think it's worth acknowledging the scale of the shift from those delays we've seen over so many years to something where we commit to turnaround time of 24 hours. Once an approved traveller arrives at the immigration counter, they are again required to look into a camera where biometric verification enables us to confirm that the person standing at our border is the same person who received authorization to travel to our country. To enable this functionality upon arrival, the Border Management Authority, in collaboration with the South African Revenue Service, has upgraded the electronic movement control system to create what we call EMCS 2.0 at the international airports. Unlike the BMA's previous movement control system, EMCS 2.0 is biometrically enabled to use facial verification to determine whether a traveller may enter the country, eliminating the scope for criminals or for fraud to use fraudulent passports or visa papers. In other words, Mr. President, the face of the traveller becomes the key that determines whether they may enter, rather than a physical document which can be manipulated.
Malawi's state utility Ugenco has brought a 10-megawatt solar plant online in Salima district this week, the first stage of a planned 50-megawatt project aimed at reducing the country's heavy reliance on hydropower. Construction of the $13.5 million facility, financed from Ugenco's own resources and built by China's Chint Electric, commenced in July of 2024, with 3 planned phases. Before the new plant, Ugenco's total generation capacity of 444.67 megawatts relied almost entirely on hydropower, with only 1.3 megawatts coming from solar. However, Malawi has faced repeated power shortages when droughts and low water levels cut hydro output. Adding solar capacity, together with a recently commissioned 20-megawatt battery system, strengthens energy security and supports economic growth.
We have all been looking forward to the commissioning of this project. We have commissioned a 10-megawatt plant. This is just the beginning of this project, because the total capacity of the project is 50 megawatt, but we are today doing commissioning of the first phase, which is 10 megawatt. So I must say that the contractors have done a very good job, and that the testing have been successful as well, and we have been able to do the switching, and since we have been able to evacuate the power from this plant into the national grid. So I must say it's a very successful program, and I'm looking forward to improvement in our supply of power to the nation. We're looking at making sure that we expand our generation so that we're able to meet the demand. We know that we do not generate enough to meet our demand, but at the same time, just to remind you that we'll be joining the Southern Africa Power Pool through Mozambique, the Mozambican Interconnector. Through there, we're going to get 50 megawatts. So this is going to happen shortly. In a matter of weeks, we'll be getting power from Mozambique. So we are leaving no stone unturned to make sure that we get enough power to meet the demand in the country.
A Tanzania-flagged cargo ship, the Tihama, was struck by an unknown projectile in the Bab al-Mandeb Strait on Tuesday, killing 3 crew members, according to Yemeni Coast Guard. 2 Pakistanis and 1 Indonesian died in the attack near Perim Island off Yemen's coast. Yemeni officials attributed the strike to the Iran-backed Houthis, though the militant group has not claimed responsibility. If confirmed, these would be the first deaths from a Houthi attack on a commercial vessel since the latest Middle East escalation began in late February. The incident adds further risk to the Red Sea route, a key corridor for East African trade. And on the eve of Chad's 66th independence anniversary on Monday, President Mahamat Idris Deby Itno urged citizens to reject division and external interference and prioritize national unity. In a televised address, he announced presidential pardons as a reconciliation effort, with stricter anti-corruption measures, military modernization, and renewed focus on health, education, and infrastructure moving forwards. Chad, a landlocked Sahelian nation, first gained independence from France on August 11, 1960.
À nos compatriotes de la diaspora, je vais dire que le Tchad compte sur vous. Votre expérience, vos compétences et votre attachement à la patrie constituent une richesse pour notre nation. Mes chers compatriotes, l'avenir du Tchad dépend de notre capacité à rester unis et solidaires malgré les épreuves. La main tendue, la paix sociale, la réconciliation, le vivre ensemble et l'unité nationale exigent de nous un dépassement de soi et implique une exigence de pardon. C'est dans cet esprit et conformément au pouvoir que me confère la Constitution que je prendrai un acte de grâce présidentielle au profit de plusieurs de nos compatriotes condamnés. Au séjour anniversaire de notre indépendance, souvenons-nous que nous avons une même histoire, une même terre et un même destin. Que chacun d'entre nous devienne un bâtisseur de paix, un acteur de développement et un gardien de l'unité nationale. Et c'est ensemble, dans l'unité, dans la discipline et dans l'amour de notre patrie que nous parviendrons au Tchad que nous voulons, pour nous-mêmes et pour les générations futures.
Tuesday's independence celebrations in Chad drew tens of thousands to N'Djamena for a grand military parade marking 66 years of sovereignty. President Deby reviewed more than 5,000 troops on place donation, joined by guests of honor from Madagascar and Guinea-Bissau. The nearly one-hour parade showcased the country's defense and security forces. Earlier, the president laid a wreath at the Monument of the Fallen, and similar ceremonies took place in other cities, including Abéché.
This anniversary is very different. A long time ago, in the early days of independence, there were periods when we were unable to properly celebrate our Independence Day. This time, I note that we have distinguished guests amongst us, presidents of the Republic and African delegations, who have taken part in the 66th anniversary of Chad's independence. For me, this is a sign of peace and stability. It is also a credit to Chadian diplomacy and reflects the Pan-Africanist vision championed by the Marshal of Chad.
C'est aussi la vision panafricaniste portée par le maréchal du Tchad.
Il faudrait qu'on regarde dans le rétroviseur qu'est-ce qu'on a pu faire pour ce pays.
We need to look back. What have we actually done for this country, year on year? What progress has been made, and where has progress stalled? All in all, I believe we have a great deal to do. The government, under the leadership of the Prime Minister and the authority of the Marshal, the President of the Republic and Head of State, Mahamat Idris Deby Itno, must tighten its belt so that our fellow citizens can aspire to a fulfilling life.
Pour que nos concitoyens puissent aspirer à un épanouissement.
And that's all the time we have for tonight. My name is Marika Schroeder. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned as we now cross over to Allen 24 Newsroom Canada. Good night.